Good morning. Let's see how 10 days off the bike has affected my fitness. Yep, I've had 10 days off the bike or so. And my general rule of thumb is if you have 14 days off the bike, you more or less lose half of the fitness that you had. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that theory is correct. First little test of the day at Ant Hill, about 300 meters at 8% or so. And 2 weeks ago I would have done that in the big ring, and today I did it in the big ring, so there's hope for me yet. The reason I spent so much time off the bike is because I've actually been away. It's my nephew's 18th birthday and I decided to take him to Prague. Now I know what you're thinking, Prague is the capital of beering and birding it up. Well, no, you'd be wrong, because unlike most 18-year-olds, my nephew is a rather clean living young lad. He doesn't even drink. Instead, he's very much into planes, trains and trams, and I thought I'd take him to Prague because they have all of that there and he can just enjoy those as much as he wanted. Now, we flew out last Tuesday and we were due to fly back on Friday, and obviously that's a 4-day trip, but unfortunately our flight back on Friday was cancelled, which meant we had to stay out another 2 days in Prague. And of course we're eating in restaurants, enjoying all of the hospitality that the city has to offer, and yet we were enjoying ourselves maybe a little bit too much. Here we go, second test of the day, Grenville Hill. So 600 meters this time, with about, well, this is 7.5% at the minute, and still in the big ring. I don't normally ride up Grenville Hill, I'm usually going down, but that wasn't too bad. But I think I can feel that it wasn't quite as easy as it would have been maybe 2 weeks ago. The trip to Prague wasn't all trams and trains. Like most city breaks, there was a fair bit of walking involved. And over the 6 days or so that we were there, according to the Apple Fitness app on my phone, we walked about 40,000 steps. So that's something like 35 kilometers or so. And my fitness there for the walking was fine. You know, I had it in the lungs and the cardiovascular system and the legs. But I certainly started to feel it in my feet, because I'm just not used to being on my feet for that amount of time. The route that I'm riding today isn't one of my normal ones. It's actually one of the old time trial routes that I used to ride when I was racing about 20 years ago. It's actually quite testing because it's got lots of little climbs and descents, And it's very hard to know how to pace yourself. As you've probably seen, the weather here today is absolutely fantastic. Warm and sunny, 23 degrees Celsius, which is a bit of a change because up until now the summer that we've had in the UK has been absolutely terrible. About 10 days ago, just before I went out to Prague, it was so cold the heating system in my house came on automatically because it had dropped below the normal winter temperature. So yes, I'm going to make the most of this lovely weather while I can. Part of the route that I'm riding now is one that I ride quite regularly. This is actually Bun's Lane on my Buns Benton Hoe route, although I'm normally riding it in the other direction where I kind of think it's a climb. Going this way, it's still saying it's a climb. I'm not sure I understand that. Another little climb out of World's End there. 200 meters or so, 4-5%. I did manage it in the big ring, but I did feel it as well. Just on the climb of White Horse Lane now. And this is a climb that I do know well. I cycle this quite frequently, so I should know how to pace myself. Again, last time I rode up about 3 weeks ago, did it all in the big ring. See if I can do it this time. Well, I managed that reasonably okay. It's not ultra difficult. It's about a kilometre long with an average gradient of about 3%, but I am really starting to feel it now. I can certainly feel I haven't got the cardiovascular fitness that I had a couple of weeks ago. The strength has gone down a bit, but not quite as much as I thought. Sounds like I've got a lot of work to do. There we go. By the time I get home, that will be about 37 kilometers in the bank of fitness and about 400 meters of climbing. As I said, I've started to feel it, and I think, yep, I probably have lost more or less half of my fitness in those 10 days. I suppose I could put a bit of spin on it and say, well, I was riding a bit of an unknown route, didn't know how to pace myself, and obviously I was stopping and starting to set the cameras up. But at the end of the day, I think, yep, I have lost fitness and I do need to start making it back. And that's obviously down to having 10 days off the bike. And although we didn't, you know, be the typical kind of boozy Brits abroad, we weren't exactly living like amateur monks either out in Prague. So yeah, put a bit of weight on, lost a bit of fitness, time to get it all back.